Welcome back, baseball fans, to the 1971-74 off-season analysis. We're looking at card sets. We have the 1972 box here. Last week we got into this box starting from the American League East all the way into the National League West. We did the American League East and the American League North. We're going to finish the American League tonight with the Midwest and West, which means we will start in the Midwest with the Chicago White Sox tonight. We're going to look at the guys they put on waivers, plus 4 guys they might consider keeping. There are 2 waiver guys. They don't have to have 2 waiver guys. They only have to have the 2 waiver guys in 71. But if the guy's still playing 72, you'll see him again. So here's Bobby Knoop. And he's still a reasonable reserve defensive replacement infielder. Not that bad. It's about, what, 235 or something? 237. That's not bad for a backup player. He might get in the league. Then you have Mike Ryan. Again, this catcher, it's all about his arm. He was a defensive catcher, never hit well at all. And he hits about 180 here, 190, 179. So that's why they're on waivers. So their 4 keepers are Aker. Let's see here. Oops. It's going to be Aker and whoops, sorry about that, folks. I'm using the spreadsheet off camera just so that I can update it if I find some information that I glean from this forecast. So Aker, Aparicio, Egan, and Henderson, if they're available. So we talked about Aker was an off-season acquisition from the Yankees to fix their bullpen. And he's a great 71 card, and this is a good 72 card as well. So you got your choice, really, for Jack Aker. 71 or 72. Yeah. Then you also have Louis Aparicio, still a 2. Still A and B there. He's the D stealer now. Got homer 1 to 5 on 7. Where'd that come from? And over the same thing over there. Hits lefties pretty well. It's like a 2, what's the percentages? Maybe 260. 256, 260, 257. Okay. Next player is Tom Egan. He's starting to lose it here. Yeah, not that much. It's around 200 again. 191. And Ken Henderson, which was going to be solidify their outfield defense. Look at the power against righties. That's pretty nice. Is he a White Sox here or a Giant? Still a Giant, but White Sox have him. A 2 in left, but a 3 in center. I'd really like to get him as a 2 in center field to help that pitching staff out. And I think you got 4 cracks at this guy. I wouldn't take this one at first blush. I think there's a better Ken Henderson card available. Let's continue in the division with a very disappointing Kansas City club. They were forecasted to win the division last year, and they only finished in last place, so that's pretty disappointing. They just didn't bloom like we thought they were going to bloom. They put Jim Harden on waivers, a couple lousy years in a row for him. Kind of gets righties out, but as a starter 7's not bad, but lefties knock him around. A fun little Swoboda card in a platoon over here, with decent defense, a lot of on base. Also has a nice 71 card. So Swoboda is a fun little player to use. I've used his card in 69, 70, probably will in 71 and 72, when he didn't have a lot of at-bats, I'm guessing, right? 113. Well, they're on waivers. And their keepers, as I go into my spreadsheet, looking for a gem, we have Josephson, Oliver, Patton, Pena. Here's Josephson at the catcher. I think he hit 316 with the White Sox in 70. Starts to taper off, as you can see. He's probably still hitting 270, 265, 268 here. Not a lot of at-bats, though. Real good against lefties without the power. Power is his righties, without the batting average. So, interesting card. You got Bob Oliver. He had 27 homers in 70. He still has a lot of home runs here. That's a nice assortment of homers. 20 of them in a full season. Was with the Angels. Now he's a Royal, or put it this way, he's still a Royal. Wasn't traded to the Angels yet. Marty Patton, he was a off-season prize trade acquisition. He would have Milwaukee, Boston, and Kansas City cards in his timeline. And that's some nice stats right there. Could be this one. Or it could be... Oh, he's really good against righties here. And a starter 8. And on the rotation. That's a nice Marty Patton card. And Horacio Pena in the bullpen. That's a nice little reliever. Walks against lefties, but outs as well. Homer 1 fly ball, you see. That's not a bad card. 20. So there's some nice options there. Nothing jumps off the page and says definitely pick this particular guy. So once I find somebody that jumps off the page, I'll make a notation in my spreadsheet. This way I keep my options open all off season and during the draft. All right, continuing into the Midwest, we go to Milwaukee. A surprise wild card team. They had no business going in the wild card round. And it doesn't mean they can project forward to continue that way. But I believe 74 Robert Yount is on the way. He's on the way up the pipeline. The wave Dan McGinn, a lefty who, well, he's left-handed. That's why he is analyzed. He's often had an ERA over 5 and been in the league. This one might not make it, though. And Jerry Royce is not... He's okay. He doesn't quite get it going until 74, 75 when he's a Pirate and then a Dodger. See, 417 here. Oh, this card could get into the league. The 74 Royce card will probably get in, though. As a wavered player, that'd be a nice get for some squad. Milwaukee's 4 wavered guys. Jay Alou, Jim Fregosi, Ken Sanders, and George Scott. Let's see if they're all here. Here's Jay Alou. Later in the decade, he's a pinch hitter. Here, he's starting that. He's starting to be a pinch hitter now as his defense has fallen off. And he went to the National League, so he pretty much has to be a pinch hitter. His defense is so bad. +4 arm, +1 arm. But as a DH, he'd be fine. No power, though. This card could get in the league as a DH. 311. Yeah. I mean, in this era, every 300 hitter will probably get in the league somewhere. Because there's only so many. I mean, this is not a good hitting era. And so, sure, he'll figure out a way of getting in the league with the Brewers. And, of course, the Brewers would definitely use a guy like that. Here's Fregosi. No longer good defensively at short, but he's still a 3 at third. Hit 233 in 71, so he hits 232. Okay. So back-to-back years in the 230s will do it. Oh, boy. All right, here's Ken Sanders. Finally starting to come down to earth a bit. His below 2 ERA, he's now at 313. Still a quality reliever, but his 71 card will be selected as his ERA is still below 2. And lastly, George Scott. We have 4 cracks at this guy. He's usually good in all of them. As a 1 at first base, don't even really need him to play third when you're a 1 at first base. This is a nice card. This is at least, I would say, the floor. 266 and 20 bombs. But yeah, I'd take this, but I'm pretty sure we're going to find something better in 73 or 74 for Mr. Scott. But that's not bad. Alou would be the selection of these 4 if we were starting tomorrow. The final team in the Midwest, and a team who may have seen their potential playoff window shrink. I'm talking about the Minnesota Twins. 69 and 70, the inception of the American League West, and the Twins won it both years. They played Baltimore both times, didn't win a playoff game, and then we never heard from the Twins after that. They are waiving Joe Haig, who actually was a Cardinal. And this will be a nice pickup on waivers by somebody. A 2 first baseman with power both ways. You don't have to worry about the platoon too much. Probably a 245 hitter. 243, 7 homers and half a season. That's not bad. Probably don't want him to get a full-time gig, but he'll get picked up by somebody just because he's a 2. And just because he's got, as a lefty, he has power against both sides. Someone's going to take him. Their four keepers are Carew, Killebrew, Roof, and Stan Williams. Here's the first Carew card. We want this guy to hit 330. Hit 300 is just not good enough, right? 318. I don't know, Rod. No home runs either. I don't know where the power went suddenly, because he had a lot of power in 69 and 70. 318. Again, this is the floor. Pretty amazing floor, though, right? And actually, he's a 3-second baseman. I think if you can get him as a 2-second baseman, if it's possible, and if you get him as an ace stealer, that would also suffice if you can't find a 333 version of this gentleman. Harmon Killebrew, 71 card is 28 bombs. Still has plenty of homers, still has plenty of walks. Can't play third base anymore. Again, it's just a little bit down from the previous year. He's under 100 walks. His homers have gone from 49 to 44 to 28 to 26. The batting average is down. So 71 Killebrew will be the selection, I'm pretty sure, as Harmon's getting up there in years. Phil Roof. Wow, this is a fun card. Speaking of fun cards, 1975 Phil Roof, available next year, has homers of 1, 5, 6, and 7 against righties. Hits like 300. Amazing card. But this card tears up lefties. Look at that. So a 205 hitter. This is why, you have to look at the strat cards and see what the splits were and how to work the split platoon to your advantage, and that's how you do it. You get a left-handed catcher. Look at the arms. If Roof's got a bad arm, the other catcher will have a good arm. One of the two catchers will usually have a good arm. But this card will work in a platoon. And then the last of the guys is Stan Williams, and I don't have a Stan Williams card, as his only card would be in 71. So hopefully, it looks like the 71 Stan Williams and 71 Killebrew will be the selection. The 72 Phil Roof we just saw was pretty nice. And again, Carew. The beauty of a Rod Carew is it doesn't really matter. He'll always hit. Doesn't matter which year you pick. All right, now we'll go to the American League West, starting with the Angels. I like to call these guys the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde team. One year they win the division, next year they're in last place. It seems that way. All through the decade, at least in my replays. Maybe not historically. And very weird team that goes up and down frequently. They are putting on waivers Larry Howard. Yeah, he hit 300. He doesn't hit 300 anymore. But he's got power both ways. A righty who hits righties enough, I guess, but not lefties. And Hal King. Yeah, the on base is nice. We love the walks. Those walks, those on bases are the staple of Strat and keeping a player active in the league when he can't hit. When a 180 hitter gets analyzed for potential inclusion. The Angels. Eddie Fisher, Bill Singer, Jim Spencer, Cesar Tovar. Let's see what we got. We don't have Eddie Fisher, so it's got to be 71. Bill Singer. Nice ERA. Doesn't pitch on 3 days rest. We'll forget that win-loss record. Not a lot of home runs. Starter 7. This is okay. I would take this as the floor, but I would look for something better. So this is 367 is the highest I'll go with a Singer card. Oh, there's Eddie Fisher. I misspoke. Hey, we actually have an Eddie Fisher card. And it's a decent one. It's a decent card. 389 in the bullpen. So Fisher and Singer's cards are available. Jim Spencer. We saw him, or we'll see him by 74. In one of these 4 years, he actually has some power. Here he has none. Look at that. That's not going to work. Just a home run? That's just not going to work. Can't do that. And Tovar, always looking for the infield-outfield versatility. He doesn't have it anymore. He's strictly on the outfield. But he's got all you want is a base runner. Hits righties well enough. Okay, so he's under 300 now. Probably, what, 270? 265. Full season. But, again, the top line here, AAAB 1-17, that could get him in the league. Got a -1 arm in the outfield. That could get him in the league. Of all these cards, I think I probably like... I don't like Spencer. Yeah, it's not that... It's, you know, it doesn't matter too much in this selection for the Angels. But I would say Tovar, the redeeming quality of all four of those cards, I would say, is Tovar's speed. At the top of the lineup. That could really help that team. All right. The Oaktown A's. Runners-up. Runners-up in the World Series a year ago. Plenty of analysis of staple players. And this is a World Championship roster. And I've said on many occasions, the A's may have been better in 69, 70, and 71 than in 72, 3, and 4, with a few exceptions. Let's take a look at the 72. So, you know, so Dick Bosman was acquired and then put on waivers. Not bad. It's not bad at all. So I'm going to pick him up as a starter 6. Gil Gerardo. This is a nice Gil Gerardo for being on waivers. Check this out, folks. That's a 270-something hitter with walks or batting average. All the positions. 3s at a couple of them. B-hit and runner. This is a card you want in the league. Not to mention, you can make this an everyday player if you're running out of positions. 267, but the walks make it look better. Of course, you're not going to get any extra base hits, though. A lot of double plays. I mean, it's not a great card, but it's a workable card in the league, I will say. And that's what, you know, the really interesting part of doing analysis like this is realizing that you're eventually going to run out of players. And that's when you got to spot a Gil Gerardo and go, you know what, this guy could work. I mean, think about it. I mean, you know, 267. Didn't like Davey Johnson hit 267 for the Orioles a lot of those years as a 2 at second base? He's a 3, but you get the idea. I mean, you can hide a Gerardo card in the league. All right, now the guys. It's Bando, Campaneris, Cepeda, and Tennis. Okay. So this is what I was saying. Look at Bando. It's just not that great here. He had a bad year. Yeah, he fell off. He got a World Series ring, but he was probably thinking, I only hit 236, guys. So yeah. Campaneris. Now he's a 2. That's what's important. The AA as well. Okay, but the bat. His card at 22 homers last year. Doesn't power both ways, which is fine. But the bat, not really that special, is it? 240. All right, then you get to Gene Tennis. Guy who had all those homers in the 72 series. But you look at the card and you're like, what are we doing against lefties here? What's going on here? Why are we doing this? You know? I mean, this is nice. This is why you would need a Ray Fosse or Dave Duncan to platoon with him. Or put him at first. He actually played some second and third. Just not, I mean, like I said, the A's just really aren't flashy at all when they win that World Series. That's just the plain truth of it. And, yeah. So, they're going to have the work cut out to get back to the World. It's funny. They just were in the World Series with primarily their 1970 and 71 players. Now they got the work cut out for them, attempting to participate in the Dynasty era. All right, Seattle's next. Let's take a look at these guys. Always fun to see an expansion team because it's all fictional. None of the wavered guys. There's nobody there. So it's just 4 keepers. Norm Miller, Skip Pitlock was not here. Diego Segui, Luke Walker. Right, Norm Miller. As a left-handed outfitter, he's got power both ways. I like seeing the 5 homers on both sides. This batting average isn't that bad. He's got a walk there and there and there. Walks there. Hit by pitch. Not much defense. Sort of like another Gil Gerardo. But a corner outfield, yeah. It's not bad. It's not bad, really. 243. You got to hope you hit these home runs, though. We're looking at 4 homers and 107 at-bats. You could hit 20 with this card. You might be able to get up to 70 walks, something like that. Don't hit in the double plays if you can avoid those. Yeah, it's not pretty. It's an expansion team. There's not much to say, more to say about that. Diego Segui. Hey, look at this. This is a reliever who does not allow any hits to lefties. That's always has value. And an expansion team like Seattle. So right away, I think it could be Miller and Segui. Let's see what Luke Walker looks like. Starter 5-4. When I get a starter 5-4, he's usually in the bullpen. I don't like to start starter 5s. I like my starters to be 6 or higher. This guy is fine. This guy would be good enough to get into the league. 3.39 ERA. Yeah, so Luke Walker will be in the league, possibly with this card. Now, if you can't take all 3, but that would be good for Seattle because someone might be looking for a lefty reliever and make a deal. So I trade this guy and keep these 2 guys, or trade Norm Miller. Trade one of them, but that's not bad. For Seattle to have 3 options in the year of 72, that's excellent. Decent options. I mean, I'm not talking about Hall of Fame or All-Star, but, you know, it's never going to be that good for the expansion teams, right? All right, Texas Rangers, and we'll be done tonight in the American League. They've put on waivers in a trade Danny Cater, who really, this guy doesn't hit for power and hits for average. Here it's the opposite. He's got some power, doesn't have the average. And his defense is not a 2 anymore with Boston. 237, yeah, that's not going to work. He'll sit on waivers with that card. I guess if he was a left-handed first baseman, he'd have more value. So we got Bernie Allen, Billy Canigliaro, Frank Howard, Bob Johnson. So here's Bernie Allen. His defense has fallen off since 70. But look at this power for a second baseman. A left-handed hitting second baseman with this power is pretty nice. Get him in a platoon. Take advantage of this platoon. Find, you know who you should find? Remember Gil Gerardo? Have Allen and Gerardo platoon. You can find a defensive second baseman who's like a 2 or a 3, who's right-handed, who could hit lefties, and platoon him with Bernie Allen. Yeah, 227 with 9 homers. So you gloss right over this guy until you look closely at the card. Walk there. No outs, 1-8. It's not bad. Not a lot of double plays either. 12% without a hit or many hits. So that's a definitely workable card. There's no Billy Canigliaro card available in 72, so we'll go right to Frank Howard. So it's okay for Frank here. It's workable. 244, 10 homers, and 320. That's workable. I mean, he's getting very old now, but the 71 card is better, as you would expect. He's like Killebrew, you know. Howard and Killebrew have very similar trajectories, with going from 40 homers to 20 homers to 10 homers. And the last player tonight is Bob Big Game Johnson, a guy who pitched for Kansas City and Pittsburgh in this timeline. Here's a Pirate in 72. Look at that numbers, very nice. Hey, this is a nice card. A lot of homers, though. That's an out. You want that to be an out. Not bad at all. Starter 6, you wish he was a starter 7. Yeah, I think I like, from this group, I like Bernie Allen and Bob Johnson. And we'll go with Howard in the previous year. I didn't see anybody really amazing tonight in 72 for this particular cast. And because it was basically the American League West, the showrunner is your Oakland A's, right? And what did I just say? I said the Oakland A's really aren't that great if they won the World Series. So, all right, the American League is done in 72. When we resume, we'll pick it up with the National League next week in 72. Thanks for checking this out. See you next time.